What's going on, Jerome's? So even though Kevin O'Connell, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah got match extensions this offseason, as I bite my tongue, it's a great metaphor for the season, right? But even though they got extended, right, and you would think that the future is secure, the NFL does stand for not for long, and something that was unthinkable, even just a couple weeks ago, is the question. And I think it's a legitimate question because, we try not to be the old clickbaity shock judge. But when it's time to have a conversation, we have a conversation. And is Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell on the hot seat? Right? Again, it seems shocking because embarking on a new adventure, got your contract extensions, got your future franchise quarterback, and the Wilfs are fantastic owners. Like they pay the money, they stay in the background, they let their people work. But O'Connell, has this reputation of being the quarterback whisperer, the commander. Actually, that's a bad term. The principal, superintendent of the Kevin O'Connell Center for Quarterbacks Who Can't Throw Good and Want to Learn How to Do Other Stuff Good too. A lot of reclamation projects, right? And then this offseason, choice between Jonathan James McCarthy, highest drafted quarterback in team history, and Slinging Sammy Darnold, a.k.a., Seattle's quarterback now, where Darnold had a great regular season, poo-pooed himself in the two biggest games of the year. Ultimately, O'Connell and Kwesi, they bet their gerbs on J.J. McCarthy, right? So I understand that the results have been uneven, right? McCarthy's had some great moments. He's had some not-so-great moments, and it really has been a sort of what you see is what you get situation. It's a spot where it's been extremely frustrating, and losing it's fine. You lose a game in national football, you do that, but just getting embarrassed, just a no call, no show, it's taxing, right? And already there's rumors about the Vikings. Oh, they're trading for Mac Jones, all that stuff. But the main question is, will Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell be here? Now, I feel like as of right now, it's an extremely low chance that they're fired. I think if someone was to be fired, it would be Kwesi. I think O'Connell has a little bit more of a grace period, but also it's a non-zero chance for both of them, right? And depending on how the rest of the season plays out, I mean, it could be higher, right? But as of right now, so the Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell situationship, both extended through 2029. Both got reportedly as 4-year extensions this offseason, and it's not a coinky-dink that their contracts basically run during the duration of the J.J. McCarthy rookie deal, right? They're all in on him. The Wolves are stable, rational owners. They're not out here changing coaching staffs and GMs every other year. They're not the Tennessee Titans. The Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell do have a 13-win and 14-win season on their resume, yes. But this year, $344 million in player contracts in 2025. Now, that's a little bit of a misnomer, right? Because the reason why the Vikings spending this year is so big because the Vikings were big-time players in free agency. Now, you could say that free agency is a tax on teams who can't draft well. That's been us in the past before, right? And, Kwesi had a great 2024 free agent class. Also, some of the reason why spending is pretty big because on some of these deals, the guaranteed money is within the first couple of years, right? But especially with this year, doling out some big money on signing bonuses, that's why that number is inflated, right? And last year's free agent class, Grenard, AVG, Cashman outside, how about that? Aaron Jones, of course, Slinging Sammy Darnold. I mean, it's a pretty good free agent class. Potentially one of the best in NFL history. And then this year, so you brought back Murph, who's got 0 picks. Fries has been really solid. Hargrave, Allen been hit or miss. Ryan Kelly's been injured frequently. Isaiah Rodgers had a game. Eric Wilson's been a stud. Jeff Okudah's been concussed. Tavierre Thomas has been terrible. Justice School's been terrible. Rondell Moore's been hurt. Tim Jones, Carson Wentz was there for a little bit. Right? And also, so you have to look at things from an owner's perspective, right? So they see $344 million out the door, not making the playoffs. $37 million over the cap, even though we've gone through the moves that the Vikings can easily make realistically to free up almost $70 million in cap space. So cap is not going to be a problem in 2026. They'll be able to keep who they want to keep as well as be players in free agency. But from an ownership perspective, reading this from a P&L sheet, it's not looking good. right? Draft picks have been less than ideal, right? So the 4 drafts that Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell have been here, the famous 2022 draft where, hey, Ed Ingram is looking good for the Texans now. Yeah. Then 2023, I mean, Addison. I mean, you can include Ivan Pace Jr. in this as a UDFA, but I don't know, maybe you don't want to do that anymore. Mekhi Blackman had some spark for the Colts. Cool. 2024, so JJ's been all over the place. Diamond Dallas Turner is actually looking really damn good. Kyrie Jackson, rest in power. Will Rockard is one of the best young kickers in the game. Woo. 2025, first-round pick Donovan Jackson looks like legit. And Ty Felton is a punt gunner. Okay. Kobe King isn't even on the team anymore, right? So the drafts leave something to be desired, right? And this offseason, they said no to Darnold, no to Daniel Jones, no to Aaron Rodgers, no to Shedeur Sanders, right? And then they bet all their chips on J.J. McCarthy. Now, obviously, 6 games in, fully get it, right? And I'm still fully on the J.J. McCarthy train, but there's been a lot of bad tape out there. And we're talking about historically bad numbers, like Jamarcus Russell type bad numbers, which is insane, all right? And like we said, still fully on the J.J. McCarthy hype train, but at a certain point, we got to start seeing some progression, right? I know it's still too early, but yeah. Again, you have to look at this from ownership's perspective, not a fan's perspective, because ultimately the owners are the ones cutting the checks. And if you're the Wilfs, even though you're stable, you're very good, rational owners, and your GM spent $344 million of your money, you're over the cap for next year. The quarterback you guys bet on is pretty erratic right now. And at least 3 times this year, the team has just been embarrassed, including at home opener, Sunday Night Football. You do that against the Falcons. And then Thursday Night Football, another standalone primetime game, you do that. And then at Lambeau, you do that. Right? Owners do not like to be embarrassed. And that's what it comes down to. And this team has great team culture, but does it lack toughness? And I've been asking myself that for the last 4 years, where the Zimmer teams, especially the early Zimmer teams, were they tough? Yes, they were. Can you say that about the Kevin O'Connell teams? Are they tough? You can call them a lot of things, like athletic, good vibes for the most part. Tough? And also factoring in here is offset language in the contracts, right? Because coaching contracts are a lot like player contracts in that you have a guaranteed amount, sure, and if you get fired, you get X amount. But also, if you take another job, and generally that applies to NFL and college, it can offset what you're owed. So, say just for schnitz and giggles, Kevin O'Connell, $10 million. We don't know the real numbers, but say it's $10 million guaranteed, and O'Connell takes an OC job for $5 million. So the Vikings have to guarantee the difference between 5 and 10, right? So, but it wouldn't be completely eating your contract. It wouldn't be as shocking of a number as like some of those college contracts, even though those have offset language too. And Kwesi, I'm sure it's got similar deal. Kwesi would be eminently employable by any analytics forward front office in the National Football League. And Kevin O'Connell will be out of work for like 2 seconds, right? So at minimum, like he probably gets some head coaching sniffs, and obviously he'd be in demand as an OC, right? But also on top of that is that since you extended Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell, generally you're extending their assistants as well and scouting staff. So paying out entire coaching and scouting staff, and then having to pay a new coaching and scouting staff, that's a big time investment, right? But as we said, even though the Wilfs, as we said, are stable, they pay money, they let their people work, sometimes to the detriment, because like Zimmer and Spielman, that was no bueno for a couple of years there at the end. And maybe if there were more meddling of owners, they could have seen that sooner. Maybe they see that here with Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi. And not that they're not on the same page, but could it be a spot where more is required? Because on paper, on purpose, like we said, this team is extremely talented, and they've really underachieved, right? And this was supposed to be, hey, it's a Ferrari, and J.J. McCarthy just keeps the car on the road. The car's off the road into a ditch, lit on fire. Dogs are peeing on it like a dog. Seems like years ago, like a dog in the street. Arr. The dog's in the kennel now. Yeah. It's a no-kill shelter, though, so we'll be fine. And as we said, you have to think like an owner, where at a certain point, it's like, hey, we spend a lot of money. You put a lot of faith in this McCarthy kid, and we're out here getting schwacked. We're out here getting embarrassed. And what happens at Seattle? Like, what happens if the Vikings get embarrassed by slinging Sam Darnold? Because you know he's got a chip on his shoulder, right? And J.J. McCarthy against that Seattle defense on the road. So what happens if Darnold puts up 5 touchdowns, McCarthy puts up 5 sacks, 2 picks, and just doesn't look good, right? And then standalone game, Sunday Night Football at Dallas, big-time stage. What if you get embarrassed there? And then what about Detroit on Christmas, another standalone game? As we said, if the season completely craters and say the Vikings finish 5-12, which I don't think so. I think the Vikings will rally up and win a couple of these games, but I feel like all bets would be off then. No matter what Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell have done, no matter the recent extensions, no matter what, again, owners do not like to be embarrassed, especially when there was a big-time price tag, and especially when you bet on the wrong horse. And I'm still firmly saying that I do believe in the upside of J.J. McCarthy. We just need some time, but also the returns so far, they are what they are, right? And again, never discount, hey, owners be like, hey, didn't we have Sam Darnold here last year? Didn't we have him? And you went with the other guy? How's the other guy doing? Again, I feel like if the Vikings just completely crater the rest of the season, anything could happen. Some wild, wild stuff could happen. I think at minimum right now, I think they're both safe. I would say Kwesi's 90% safe. I would say Kevin O'Connell's like 95%. It's relatively close, but there's a difference. But I think at minimum, O'Connell's going to have to throw some assistants under the bus. I think Coach Hatt is gone. I think Chris Cooper could be gone. Josh McCown? I don't know. But I feel like it'll have to be one of those things where, well, changes have to be made and we have to answer to the fan base, so you're going to have to fire some assistants. That could be the situation right now. And also, if Kwesi could fire Grigson, that'd be great. Anyways, your thoughts are Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell on the hot seat? Right now, no, but that could change. That could really, really change pretty quick. Let us know your thoughts. Our thoughts, comment section. You guys, the best you know to do. Skol, production value.